Hi, welcome to my vinyl community channel. My name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel if you've been there before. I hope you're all doing well. I know it's not easy yet, maybe anywhere. There's certainly many places in the world with what we've been dealing with the last year and a half, but it seems at least we're making some progress, and at least a partial sigh of relief. Well, I will get into some music, and I'm sure I won't shock those of you that maybe know to expect a few things from me by starting out with the new Jordsjø album, Pastoralia. This album was dropped on May 7th by the Charisma label out of Norway. That's Charisma with a K. A nice, colorful gatefold with art that matches the theme of the album. And the theme, I will kind of look at my cheat sheet a bit here, but the theme of the album is based on dreams and longing for freedom in the fictional place Pastoralia, where every day is like a tropical night in northern Norway, where the forest people dance around campfires. So as one maybe can expect from Jordsjø, this is kind of a nature-inspired, folky, I think maybe some would say also Canterbury style progressive rock. Really good at setting some moods, I think, particularly the second track, Skumring I Kariswando, or Dusk in Kariswando. Just really sets that dusk type feeling in my mind, and I can't imagine much better music if I ever again have to do the 24-hour or so drive from where I live to Seattle area, and you kind of come off the plains in Montana and head in towards the mountains, and the sun's setting. Really good mood. Yes, that's good at setting the mood in a good way, not the Norwegian death metal way, which is maybe more of another genre that's very popular around the world for what comes out of Norway, which is not my thing, but lush use of instruments on most of these tracks, guitars, mellotron, and other things. Though you do have a little variation too. There's one tune in here, Fuglehviskeren, or the bird whisperer, which is a nice, shorter, jazzy tune with upright bass, I believe, and a clarinet and acoustic guitar. You have some longer tracks, particularly the very last track is a 10-minute instrumental, or 10.5-minute instrumental called Jord, or Earth, number 3. There are Norwegian vocals on some of the tracks here that are not instrumental. Of course, easy for me to say, but I don't think not picking up on the language would be an impediment to enjoying the music. Here's an insert with the album, some more art, and then on the backside here are all the lyrics printed in some old style font in Norwegian. The band did post on their Facebook page that they intend to put out the lyrics in English on a PDF. I'm not sure exactly where they would post that or when that would be, but it might be coming. I was able to get the transparent blue vinyl edition. I think, like often happens with Charisma releases, they maybe do 300, 500, or maybe up to 1,000 color vinyl editions, usually for about $1 more only than the black vinyl edition. So I was lucky to get blue colored vinyl. Thankfully, Charisma has a US web store that sells not all of their stuff, but some of their stuff. I also got the jewel case CD. I don't get both often, but for certain things, I need a card copy. Otherwise, I did not really recognize any names on the musician list beyond one, and outside of the two guys in the band themselves. Åsa Reh, I have mentioned in a previous video, she's now in the last year or so has been on the Wobbler Dwellers of the Deep album, the Tusmørke Nordic Crime album, the Caligonaut Magnified as Giants album, and now this album by Jordsjø, and she is a full band member in a band called Meer, M-E-E-R. That's I think I've seen them described as a progressive pop band. They also dropped an album not long ago. I am not really familiar with their music, but unfortunately, I think if you're into Scandinavian progressive rock or progressive rock as a whole, and you like some of their inspirations, the Jordsjø's inspirations, like Engla Gård, Agusa, and others, you'll enjoy this. They even do a thanks to a few bands, including Agusa. I noted for this album. I think that's something I picked up on the CD. Did not state so in the album itself. Highly recommended. Again, particularly track 2, Skumring I Karesuando, is one that I've enjoyed a lot. It's been available for streaming since February or March. It has been played heavily on my little Bluetooth waterproof speaker that I have in the shower. Not the best sound quality, but work has been very busy, and I try to optimize my listening time. I promise there will not be an episode with me listening to music in the shower. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Jordsjø album. Really strong album, really great. I still have a lot more time to spend on particularly some of the tracks to appreciate them more. I think it could come out on towards the top, if not the very top, of 2021 releases for me. And then I thought I'd go through some other albums that I have picked up lately, some used stuff and some new stuff. Yes, Clasic, the used copy I picked up. I think a solid prog rock album. Maybe this is a little dangerous to say for someone that's a progressive rock lover, but perhaps not a mega fan of Yes. They certainly have a lot of excellent music, but not a kind of die-hard fan perhaps. But I'm happy to get this album, obviously with some Roger Dean cover art. It also came with a 33 RPM. I didn't realize this was on an online auction. I don't really have a lot of local choices for used albums and categories that I like. So on one side here is Roundabout. On the other side is I've Seen All Good People. So kind of cool, I guess. I haven't listened to the single yet to see if there's any sort of differences in versions, but I've listened through it. I think it'll be good music for maybe not the most intent listening, but as I do other things around the house. Then I picked up an album that also a used album that surprised me in sound a little bit. This is Robert Fripp solo album from 1979, Exposure. Has a lot of well-known names involved in it, like Peter Hamill on some vocals. Not everyone likes Peter Hamill's vocals. I really like like his vocals. Peter Gabriel is involved here with also the track Exposure, which is a Peter Gabriel track. It has been somewhat simplified for this album, I read. Brian Eno, I think, is involved in the background a bit here, and I really enjoy it. It's maybe, you maybe say it's a bit all over the place, perhaps, in what kind of music is on here, but there's some really Frippish guitar that I appreciate. Which also reminds me, I also have a Fripp-minded book, shall I say, that I'd like to pick up. A guy wrote a book called Failure to Fracture. And if you're not familiar, Fracture is a rather difficult guitar piece by Robert Fripp. Him himself is, I think, it's kind of indicated that maybe he's getting close to done playing it. It takes a lot of time and energy to practice up for. I guess a guy spent, like, was it 20, 30 years trying to play Fracture. I want to check that book out, but anyway, a fun album. This turned out to be a promo copy, but it was in really good condition. I think it needs a cleaning, but it seemed to be in good condition. I did note that the soundstage on this album was quite a bit different than the CD version that I've heard. The album seems much more kind of enclosed space, not so broad, not a lot of air in the mastering of it. So if you are curious about this, I probably would recommend maybe checking out the CD first. It may have been released also on a later version on vinyl, but the original mastering, probably not what I prefer, but still sounds great. And then over to a box set, and this makes me think of a video that Rod Walker did, I think this winter, where the theme was vinyl, where someone is smoking a cigarette or someone's smoking on the front cover. And I think here's maybe one of the most in-your-face having a smoke covers that I can think of. This is a 5 LP box set, Frank Zappa. This is kind of from the soundtrack from the somewhat recent movie about Frank Zappa. I've yet to see the movie, to be frank, but lots of music tracks. I think some of it are some interview snippets and such too. It comes with a photo booklet, and Frank with one of his characteristic hats, and then inside you get 4 LPs in individual slip covers. Record 1, and record 2, record 3, record 4 with another cigarette, and record 5 and yet another cigarette. I have not gotten through all this material, I will admit. I think it was released just this last week, and 5 LPs takes some time to get through. But I've listened to parts of the first and the second LP, and I thought I'd share some thoughts. First, the audio quality that I've heard so far is very good. I think what Zappa Records, and if you don't know, Zappa Records are doing a lot of the re-releases, and they have says Zappa Records and a number in the Zappa catalog that is assigned to it. This is number 118. I think they're doing a good job in general on their releases in terms of audio quality. The first LP starts out with some more kind of, I think, more in the doo-wop category that Frank Zappa was known for, and he has throughout some of his albums. Maybe one or two here would be type of music that maybe could appear on Madam Sim's Madam Sim's channel, if they exist on 45 RPM singles. And then I think it kind of progresses in time throughout the list of tracks here. On the second LP, there's a track that says FZ on Varese, or Varese, and I may be butchering his last name. If you're not familiar, Edgar Varese was a French composer. He did move to New York City, I believe Greenwich Village, later in life. And I think he was started to be active somewhat early in the 1900s. And there's a story that Frank Zappa actually tried to call him up when he was in his teens. I think it was like his 15th birthday or something like that. He used his birthday money to place a long distance call to New York, hoping to speak to Edgar Varese, who he really liked. He's a classical composer, but with some avant-garde streaks, shall we say. And I read some places that some consider him somewhat to be kind of a father of electronic music genre, although I don't know, he used a lot of electronic effects, but maybe thinking outside the box a bit. They never did meet, I gather. I think Frank Zappa talked to his wife, but I believe he got a letter back from Edgar Varese later on. But then, following the little interview snippet with Frank Zappa, there is a track here, Ionization, which is a Varese track, as recorded by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, which just sounds great. Maybe perhaps not for everyone to listen to, but great sounding track. I really appreciate having that on vinyl. I believe there is a Deutsche Grammophon release, at least on CD. I have not been able to find it on vinyl of the entire Varese recording that the Chicago Symphony Orchestra did. But the other more well-known tracks here, certainly like Cheapness, Muffin Man, Dancing Fool, Sofa, Watermelon and Easter Hay, and different tunes that many will recognize. I think some studio, some live. So I think it could be fun to listen to. And if you're curious, I do also know there's perhaps a little less expensive version of Varese music, including Ionization. Though Frank Zappa himself, I guess, in an interview also referred to the Chicago Symphony Orchestra rendition, but this is on the Naxos label, Varese Orchestral Works 2, America's Equatorial Ionization, and this is recorded by the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra. If you want to check out Varese. Well, that is what I had for today. Thanks for sticking with me if you made it all the way through. I appreciate watching folks' videos and learning more about music that I'm not familiar with. Pete from Sound from the West Coast put me onto Agusa, which I think I may be having to complete some things there. And he also has a Danger series on krautrock that is starting to make my wallet go a little hot. So I have to be careful here to spread it out a bit, but also all sorts of other music beyond prog rock that I have picked up on from various folks, and I really appreciate getting inspiration to check out more music. I hope you all stay well. Have a good week.